Hey there, Orlando Batista here. Just heading off actually to teach a couple of yoga classes here today, and but I just wanted to connect really quickly. I wasn't able to I wanted to do a video this morning opening coconuts, but my kids were kicking around and making a lot of noise, so I thought I would wait to do it this afternoon. I'm going to do a video actually later on at my at the studio that I'm teaching at today, a little workout that I'm going to be doing on chest and core, and but I'll do that a little bit later on today. I just wanted to connect really quickly. This is day 2 Juice Feast, and day 2 of 100, and I've had a couple of people ask me about the way I eat. Actually, I've had a lot of people asking me about the way I eat. But yesterday I had a couple of people ask me about 80-10-10 and what that whole concept means. And so I just wanted to do a quick video on that. And it's a concept that was created, I guess, on some level by a friend of mine, Dr. Doug Graham. And the premise is basically that your food intake should consist of around 80% carbohydrates, 10% fat, and 10% protein. Now, when I first learned about this lifestyle or diet, whatever you want to call it, it's really not either, which I'll explain a little bit in a moment. But when I first learned about it, I learned about it from a raw perspective, so that which is how I choose to live, is 80-10-10, but with raw food. So it's a high carb, low fat, raw vegan diet. But there are a couple of doctors out there, Dr. Furman and a couple others, I think Dr. McDougall, that live around a similar concept, but it's more towards cooked food. So this is a lifestyle that you can incorporate cooked food into if you absolutely want to. You can incorporate some rices and sorry, that was my phone. You can incorporate some rices, and you can also incorporate potatoes, tomato sauces, anything pretty much vegan really that's high carb. The fat is the thing that we really have to be careful with. In particularly on an 80-10-10 high fruit diet, you really have to be careful with fat, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the future. I'll explain that a little bit more. The higher the fat content goes, the more difficult it is for your body to break down the sugar from the fruit. And the main premise behind energy and how our bodies create energy is through the use of glucose. Glucose is actually what fuels our cells, fuels the mitochondria in the cells, and helps to create ATP, create energy. So if there's too much fat in the blood system, then you're not going to be able to absorb that glucose quite as readily, and you end up with blood sugar issues and all sorts of other things, adrenal fatigue, etc., etc. Candida, perfect example. So 80-10-10 just sort of tries to keep the nutrient intake, the diet, somewhat natural. So if you're consuming a lot of fruit, which is natural, I believe, and we'll get deeper into that again in the future as well. But if you're consuming a high amount of fruit, your intake of fat is going to run somewhere in the 6 to 10%, depending on the type of fruit that you're eating. And it's also going to be around the same for protein. You don't really have to mess around with it too high. The only time that changes, of course, is if you're working out and you're a bodybuilder and you need a little bit higher protein. You can just switch and consume fruits and vegetables that have a higher protein count, and maybe you might be able to take some more nuts and seeds. I personally don't eat a lot of nuts and seeds. I eat a little bit of it, and I'm happy with that. My body seems to like it that way. I consume a lot of vegetables. Evening time is when my vegetable intake is the highest. Either a large salad, excuse me. As you can see, day 2, there's a little bit of mucus starting to come up already. But let me sort of retract here. Oh yeah, so 80-10-10. It's really easy though, and a lot of people don't really understand this. it's a really easy lifestyle to live as long as you have access to a lot of fresh, yummy fruit and vegetables. The problem is that most people, and this includes myself, I've been really addicted in the past to oils, nuts, and seeds, and it's really easy to tip that scale from 80-10-10 to 60-50, 25-25 by eating just a tablespoon or a teaspoon of olive oil every single day. The fat content in those ingredients, in those food ingredients, really take your scale way off 80-10-10, and then you're looking at basically blood sugar issues. Now, I'll get more into this in the future as I create more videos and more informational videos. But it really, once you live this way for a little while, you really start to understand how much your blood sugar and your clarity of mind, your physical energy is affected by not getting enough sugar in your cells. Everything about life is about energy. And if you don't have your cells creating enough of it, enough ATP, then you will not thrive. It's impossible. Our brain is fueled by glucose, by sugar. Now, there are other lifestyles out there. There's other diets out there that consume almost no sugar at all, and they're high fat. And this is just another way of doing the same thing. They remove the sugar out of the diet because if you have too much sugar in there, the amount of fat consumption in that diet won't allow the sugar to be absorbed, and this will cause sort of different blood sugar issues. But what the premise is that the body will convert the fat into glucose to fuel our cells. So we're looking at a very similar premise, only the the high fat diet will take a lot more energy, will take a lot more of the body's resources to break down the fat and convert it into sugar. So you're almost feeding your body to try to give it energy just to work so hard to break down the fat, to create sugar, glucose, to fuel your cells, and therefore continue that process. Whereas with fruit, it's the easiest and simplest way for the body to break down the sugar. As a matter of fact, it happens almost immediately as soon as you put it into your mouth. It starts to break down the sugar in the fruit. Now, this is pretty much the premise of it. If you remove the fat, or at least, I mean, it's not exact. You don't have to eat 80-10-10 like exactly. You don't have to measure everything out. It is a good idea for the first little while to sort of track your calories so that you have an understanding about what is 80% carbohydrate, 10% protein, 10% fat. So you start to get an idea in your diet about what that is. But if you're eating fruits and vegetables, mainly and some nuts and seeds, you really are just fine and you'll stay inside of that window. The number has been given to it, but it's also been really sort of distorted a lot, this sort of 80-10-10 thing. It's not so much a diet, it's not so much a lifestyle, it's just a natural way of eating. And you just have to adjust the numbers and adjust the food according to your lifestyle, according to whether you're athletic or whether you're more sedentary and sitting behind a computer. You just adjust it, and you'll find that things, it's kind of hard. It's one of those things that it's hard to explain. You have to just try it for a little while and see how it works inside of your body. There's a lot of argument out there, the argument for eating meat and flesh and cooked food. But when I break it down, for me on a common sense level, to cook your food is to destroy your nutrients. If you look at it this way, try taking your hand sometime and placing your hand on a stove and see what happens to the skin of your hand. It'll burn. It'll burn the skin. It'll deform the skin. It'll deform the cells and all that make up your skin and your flesh. And it's the same thing that happens when we cook our food. This isn't a ploy to try to get people to switch to a raw food diet. It is a ploy to try to get people to convert to at least a higher raw food diet, more fruits, more vegetables, that sort of thing, because it just makes sense. And we'll get into that again a little bit more in the future. So I just I think that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them below, and I'll get back to you. If you want to have a conversation about it, we can certainly talk a little bit more about it, and I'll shed a little bit more clarity. There's some other great YouTube videos out there. Dr. Graham and Harley, Durian Rider and Freely. They've got some outstanding information on this lifestyle as well. Dan the Man, Dan McDonald. So you can look around for those guys as well, and they're really just shedding light on this lifestyle, and really it's just, to me, in my opinion, it's the way to eat. It's the way we're designed to eat. It's the way our biology is designed. And even our hands, our hands are designed to pick fruits right up off the tree. They're not designed to wrestle down bears and deer and all that sort of good stuff. And it's all common sense. So we'll talk about that common sense a little bit more over the coming weeks and months as I pop out more YouTube videos. So anyway, that's about it for now. Like I said before, any questions, concerns, comments, negative, positive, doesn't matter. Just post them below, and make sure, if you're watching this video or introduced to me for the first time, make sure you subscribe above. And I'm really looking forward in the future to being a part of your world and meeting those of you out there that are really interested in living this lifestyle and just need a little bit of support. I'm here for you, and I'm also here for me. The more I talk about it, the more it ingrains the concepts into my mind, and it becomes more and more a part of my heart, a part of my life, a part of my family, a part of my community. So that's it for now, and have a great day. And I'll post another video later on tonight about later on this afternoon about my workout that I'll be doing at the yoga studio. All right. Have a great day. Orlando Batista signing off.